Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Seafarer Social Podcast. This is the first podcast of 2025, and I'm super excited to have a recurring guest back on with Ivan Guzman. This is the third time Ivan and I have done a podcast together, and we also have a brand new face, a very dear friend of mine, someone I've worked with for a long time, Sherwin Chantengco. Firstly, I want to wish you guys both a happy new year, and thank you so much for taking the time to do this podcast with me. Yeah, perhaps the best place we could start, Sherwin. I think the audience are already familiar with Ivan, but if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been a seafarer, what your current rank is, and yeah, that'd be awesome.
Hi everyone! It's me, Sherwin Chantengco, your Sima na Makata. I know familiar faces now with Carl and Ivan. I am Sherwin, for everyone. Know that I am a seafarer, active seafarer for already 6 years. I am now an able-bodied seaman and I'm doing vlog for 3 years since 2022, 23, 24, now 2025. So yes, I am happy that my passions lead us to know Carl and Ivan and a lot of seafarer content creators. So nice to meet you, everyone.
How long have you been a seafarer for, Sherwin?
6 years, 6 years. I already sailing at ship 6 years. Since 2018, I started 2018, turning 7 this year, 2025.
Nice. And what was it that inspired you to start a career as a seafarer?
Oh, what's the funny things? Fun fact: when I was young, I work working at sea because I already always saw a ship. And I saw, what's this? What's the name of this big ship? Because I know boat because I working at sea with my uncle as getting some fish. And I always saw some big ships, and I said I want to work in these big ships. And I'm happy because now I already a seafarer. I think it's just also I need more money because in Philippines, if you have a career like this, you have a good.
Yeah, for sure. I think that that's the number one priority. And when I speak to every single Filipino seafarer, in fact, every seafarer period, they all say the number one most appealing part of seafaring, of course, is the financials. It's a great paid job, tax-free lifestyle. But we were just having a conversation off camera, sharing, where you were saying, you've been on holiday for the last 2 months, taking a break, and you're starting to feel the pressure now. You have to go back to sea at some point, right?
Yes, yes, yes. I need to go back to sea because I don't had a business on Philippines, so uh, I only stand with working at sea to get some money because a lot of seafarers don't have business when they are in the Philippines or in the vacation. They don't have money to come in their pockets. All the money is going throughout. So I need to go back to ship because I am a family man. I already have one daughter, and I had a lot of dues to be paid. So my budget is already getting low. So I need to go back to ship. Like I think other
Yeah, for sure.
seafarers can, and they for sure they gets what I mean that
I mean,
going
everybody
back to.
has the yeah. Going back to sea, I think is going to be very important because you're right. Everybody has their needs. Everybody has the requirements they need to fulfill. I know that Ivan is not a father at the moment, but I know that Ivan takes care of his family and is a very big family man himself. And Sherwin and I are both fathers to daughters as well. Sherwin's a very young father, similar age to me. And both have daughters, so I can understand the pressure that you have as a father to supply for your family, and I respect the seafaring must be such a difficult role because you spend such a long period of time away from your family. Ivan, from your side, you and I have been friends for a long time now. I know that you have a very good relationship with your mother and the rest of your family. How do you find spending long periods of time away from home?
Well, to be honest, Carl, it's really one of the challenge or the demands of life at sea. The challenges, of course, of being long hours, being away from the family for extended periods. I think it's really tough knowing that it is something that we are used to when we are home in the Philippines. And I think it all boils down that we need to think that it's a part of a sacrifice for us to be able to give our family a better life. And for me, I've already instilled it to myself in entering the maritime profession. And right now, I am really getting in hand of it now. But sometimes, when you left home, I usually don't turn back to my parents when they like. deliver me to the airport because it really pains me. But I always just look at the brighter side of the coin that the that it is part of the sacrifice, and I know everything will be worth it soon.
Yeah, for sure. And for you, Sherwin, you have a 6-year-old daughter. What does she think of when Daddy goes away to sea? How does she survive? How difficult is it for you to say goodbye to her and your wife?
You know what's the difficult time, Carl, when I go back to ship? I remember when she's 3 years old, and then we talk already at the phone. When I go back on, because I stay, pandemic is 14 months. I stay 14 months on board in pandemic days. When I go back to home, she didn't recognize me. She is crying at airport, who is me? Because I stay 14 months on board because of the pandemic. And my heart tears a million parts that my daughter didn't know me because I stay 14 months on board. When I live at home, it's 2 years old, and I go home 3 years old. So 1 year and 2 months, she didn't recognize who are you, why are you carrying me at airport. And I am showing some pictures that, oh, this is your father, this is me. That's why very
My
difficult.
God.
It's very difficult, Carl. You know, I know a lot of seafarers will gets what I'm trying to say, because it's very difficult to live when you have a family as a daughter or a wife. Of course, as I am not trying to balance the pain when you are living with your parents or with your family, but I'm trying to say that it's very difficult if you are a family man and you need to live and to sacrifice more and to leave the country. I
Yeah,
know
2 weeks. 2 weeks is nothing, right? It's nothing, but
2 weeks,
it
but
makes you think. Yeah,
what are you feeling? I'm trying to ask
yeah.
what
No, I can't fathom the idea of being away for longer than 2 weeks. In fact, I made a rule with my partner Charlotte that if we go away, if I have to go away for work for longer than 2 weeks, I bring them with me. I think anything above 2 weeks is too tough. The fact that
yes.
you had to do 14 months is just, I mean, you're the mental resilience you must have had to endure during that period must have been something else.
14 months without internet. The ship without internet,
Oh
Carl.
my God.
Without internet. You know, without internet. And our voyage is from Kiribati, Christmas Island, to Mexico. It's like 27 days without knowing what's. I spent Christmas in the middle of the sea and New Year. When I come back in 2020, oh, there's a COVID already. There's a virus already. I didn't know what's going on. That's
Yeah,
why that's
that's crazy. So let me ask you this then, Sherwin, and then I'll move it to Ivan as well, because I'm interested to hear your perspectives. You have a 6-year-old daughter. You told me earlier on off camera as well that you and your partner would like to have another child. Would you, when your children grow up, would you recommend the career of seafaring to them?
no to my daughter, no, because my daughter, she tell me that she want to be like me because she saw me going to other country to take a pictures, but I said no, no, definitely no. Find new job, find new career.
What about if you had a son?
A son, even a daughter, my child will not take this career because I know how hard it is to work far away from your family and on board specifically. Very
Wow.
difficult. Very
What
difficult.
about you, Ivan? For the future children you may have one day, would you recommend a career as at sea for them?
Well, as for me, I always say to my younger brother and sister that whatever career they would want to take in the future, I would really want to support them. But if they would ask me if they really want to pursue the maritime profession, I will not stop them from taking it. I know how hard it is, but I think it still all boils down to how dedicated and how willing the person is. If he or she is going to take this path, I think you should be able to understand the negative and positive aspect of this. Well, some people might take it as their own preference to not let their child or their brothers and sisters taking this path. But I think for me, on my case, if it is something that really speaks to their heart with, I think they should go for it as long as they know and they can, because otherwise it would be meaningless if they just choose there's this career out of influence and out of those luxurious things they see online, because other than that, I think this profession is really tough.
Yeah, I think that's really, really interesting point. I think from Sherwin's perspective, obviously you have a daughter now, so perhaps the pain you've had to endure has pushed you to the point where the option of them being away from their future kids, your children's children, is just too much. But I think from Ivan's perspective, I think the way you're looking at it, still understanding that pain, but what you're saying is that if you believe that lust, that hunger, that desire to become a seafarer is more than just money, is more than just exploring the oceans. It's about the actual career, the job, and the fruits that come with it. Then you're saying go for it. I think that's a really interesting way of looking at it. But ultimately, what you both agree on is that there is a huge level of pain that you must be able to endure.
Exactly.
A lot of pain, not by the, but not pain, muscle pain. It's more than muscle pain. Carl. It's very difficult to
Yeah,
stay. The thing is, it's very difficult to get old far away from your family. You're just realizing that you're
yeah,
already. I'm already turning next year, and already my half of my life already spent at. How about the years coming from? For sure, I stay at sea. That's why I don't want to be, we call it plastic, but I don't want to feel my daughter or my son that pain.
yeah. No, I respect that. Totally respect that. Um, so you just mentioned a point there, Sherwin, saying about how you're almost 30 years of age and you've spent such a long period of time at sea. I'm interested to hear from both of your perspectives. How often do you think about life after sea? And what do you do to prepare for life after sea? Eventually, even your employer, there's a point in which you become unemployable. You become too old. This is a young man's game. You guys know this, and young women's game. But um, how often do you guys think about life after sea? How do you prepare for life after sea? Are you investing financially? Are you thinking about creating a savings account? Are you thinking about opportunities for new jobs that you could do on shore, businesses that you could start? I know that you both are content creators, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. But putting content creation to the side for a second, what's your plans for life after sea, Ivan?
Well, I have to be honest, Carl, that I don't think that I'm going to stay longer in this profession because, Carl, as a young man, I always have a simple dream and I share it with to my parents. They don't really want me to go on board ship because, you know, they really want to live a simple life. It's just me who push through because I want them to feel how easy life is. That's why I took the maritime profession. And that simple dream of mine is for me to be able to provide a conducive home for my family, to have a car and let them experience travel to certain places that they want to. And once I'll be able to fulfill that. I think it's time for me to um, stop going on board because I also have this passion towards teaching. That's why I chose to become an educational content and travel content creator online. And if given a chance, now that I already have my license, and if there is an opportunity for me to be part of the maritime industry who teaches young generations aspiring to become seafarers, I will grab that opportunity and at the same time, of course, continue my passion in advocating mental health awareness to people, and also, of course, my passion towards public speaking and motivation.
Yeah, I know that every time we've always had discussions, Ivan, you've always told me your passion for education. You even told me that one day you wish to be possibly a maritime teacher in some capacity. And I think that you're totally right in mentioning your advocacy for mental health and your ability to do public speaking. I think that you could obviously offer a lot to the maritime industry, not just on board a ship, but also ashore. What about yourself, Sherwin? How often do you think about life after sea?
I remember when I started this job, this career, way back 2018. I said, I don't want to get old, and when I get 30s, I stop or retire this job. But it looks like impossible for me to stop at 30s and I add 5 more years. When I get 35, I want to retire. As like Ivan, public speaking is one of my forte. That's why I dream to be a teacher also. Fun fact again, I remember when I was college, high school graduate, my parents give me money to enroll in a university. In a university where don't have maritime university. It's like a school for education, for to being a teacher, to be a teacher, to be some architect or engineer. Because they want me to be a professional. Seafarer is a professional. A professionals working at office. You know what I mean? You're just a teacher. You're IT. But I go to maritime school because it's my dream. But basically, as time goes by, my dreams turns to reality that I saw how life difficult is. That's why when I think if I get 35, I stop this job and I start my career for business and to teach in university because it is also my dream to become a teacher someday. Maybe not a maritime teacher, but a Filipino teacher because Filipino words or Filipino subject is my forte. So I want to be a Filipino teacher. So I teach and I manage a business. That's why I look when I get retired in this and leave this job as a seafarer as well.
Yeah, I think one of the things I learned from my time in the Philippines, obviously I lived in the Philippines for a long time, and I went to a lot of the maritime schools. And one of the things that really stood out to me when it came to the teachers was that the teachers that would typically create the most positive impact on the cadets or the students or whatever were the teachers that had charisma, right? So there was one particular teacher I remember from IMEC called Big Dan Tolentino. You know Big Bro Dan? Have you ever heard of Big Bro Dan? Yeah, he's maybe you've heard of him, maybe not. He's from IMEC, but he was an ex seafarer himself, and he created a huge impact on the lives of many cadets. And I think that the reason why was because he was able to connect with the cadets when he spoke to them. He understood what their challenges were, what their ideas, their aspirations were, and he was able to connect with them on that level. He also was a very charismatic guy, type of person that when you're in the same room with them, because of the way they carry themselves, you remember them, they stick in your brain. And I think Sherwin, you definitely have some of the similar sort of aspects that Big Dan has. You're a very charismatic person. And I think you'd be a brilliant teacher one day, actually. So yeah, I want to know a little bit about from your perspective, guys. I want to know about the Philippine dream, right? In America, they talk about the American dream, which is anyone can come to America and they can earn X amount of money and they can buy a house and they can buy some land and maybe have a farm. What does that look like in the Philippines, right? How does success look in the Philippines for a Filipino man? How much does it cost to buy a house in the provinces? How much does it cost to buy a farm in the provinces? Something like this. What is the Philippine dream?
Am I first?
Yeah,
Because
please, Joey.
okay, if you are trying to say Philippine dreams to get some house, to get your own house, to get your own car, I am not bragging, but I already had these two, the house, the car, and the life what I want. But if you tell me and you ask me what is Philippine dream, a Filipino dream is to provide more and to get some money to leveling up our family. That is my perspective of a Filipino dream. Because our culture in Philippines is to help our family.
Mm.
So, in my point of view, if you are trying to ask me my Philippine dream, I already get my Philippine dream because I already had my house and I already had my car. And I already sent my sister in law school who already she already passed and she's already attorney this December. She passed the bar
Wow.
exam. So this is the Philippine dream I am trying to say to help your family to get leveling up in the life what they have right now. It is my Philippine dreams. It's my definition of my Philippine dreams. I already get my dreams. I already leveling up all my families from we are from poor family, but I'm not trying to say that we are rich, but we are now from nothing to a little bit something. That was my Filipino dream meant for. I don't know from
What
Ivan,
about
but
what about yourself, Ivan? What about yourself? What's your Philippine dream? How has your career as a seafarer been able to impact the lives of your family so far?
Well, I have to be honest, Carl. First and foremost, I would like to not generalize because I do believe that when we say dream, it's really subjective to every individual. But for me, I guess Filipinos are known to be very selfless, a very good family provider. I would like to also agree to Sherwin with that. And of course, as I have said, I only have a simple dream, and that is for me to be able to, have a conducive home for my family. And I think right now, as someone who is I consider as a youngster in the maritime industry, I am proud that even though I have not yet attained way back then my status right now, which is a licensed officer, I was able to like help rebuild our home. And I think it is something that defines what a Filipino dream is, and that is you see the comfort of life. You picture the picture that you are viewing when you started your career is slowly turning into pieces. And I think that speaks more of a Filipino dream, that you will be able to provide to your family in a way that you don't really worry about what will happen tomorrow. That you have something to like provide to them regardless of the time or the moments that you are in. Compared to way back then, when I was still a college student, a high school student, I always remember that when I go to school, my parents would always roam around our neighborhood to ask money just to give me an allowance. And I think
Wow.
there's a big leap towards us gaining those resources now as accessible as it before. And I think now I think I'm not yet that far, but I think I'm leading into that Filipino dream. Yeah.
That's amazing,
A
guys.
great
Really,
provider, as what I tell. A Filipino dream is to provide and to put some level up from of your family,
But
because not every
also yeah. But also just to add up, even though Filipinos are great providers to their families, I think we should also not like always settle to like it's not mediocrity, but I think it lies upon us on how content we are in our current life. And I think if we continue providing to our family, there would come a point that we will be exhausted. But at the same time, in the Philippines, giving up is not always an option. So we really need to work hard and continue going on board ship as long as our family needs it.
but additional, always remember your mental health always matter. When Ivan said when you are giving, maybe you're exhausting. So, but also think yourself to some money on your pocket, because Ivan is right. You get exhausted in some point, but Filipinos not giving up. So
really,
I am
really, really inspirational stuff, guys. Really inspirational. And thank you for being so open and honest with me. It's a huge honor to be able to hear you guys speak in this way. I think it's fantastic. The next thing I want to talk about, and this is probably one of the most obvious things that we haven't addressed yet, is that the fact both of you guys are content creators. This is something that we all originally connected together. I saw both of your content online. Originally, I saw Ivan's, and then slowly, after doing some research deeper into the Philippine seafaring influencer space, I also come across Sherwin. Sherwin had a bit of an issue where one of his accounts got banned for a little bit or got
yes.
hacked, but he lost hundreds of thousands of followers, but he recently got that back. Now, I know that in the Philippines, social media is a huge aspect in the Filipino lifestyle, particularly two platforms, Facebook and TikTok. I read a statistic somewhere that 96% of Filipinos have Facebook. I don't know how accurate that is, but I know that Facebook is very prevalent within the Filipino culture. And now what we're also seeing is the rising TikTok, especially with the next generation. So I've spoken to Ivan a lot about his TikTok journey, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. For those who don't know, Ivan has millions of followers across TikTok and also hundreds of thousands on Facebook, and he grew his channel quite quickly. But Sherwin also, respectively, has a very, very strong influential channel, hundreds of thousands of followers on both platforms. So before we get into Ivan's established base, Sherwin, tell me a little bit more about how you started your content creation journey. What inspired you, and what was the first video that really took off?
Because Carl, I work in a ship named refrigerated cargo vessel, and I don't know if there's, but there is no Filipino content creator who content what's life in refrigerated cargo vessel. Working at reefer ship is new to a Filipino, and I think, what can I give to Filipino viewers that everyone don't have? And I starting to think that I work in an underrated name called refrigerated cargo ship. That's why I am starting my content creation journey, content creator as well, to educate everyone that there is a ship named refrigerated cargo. Because if you ask a Filipino, did you know the refrigerated cargo vessel? The first thing in their mind is it is a fishing vessel, but it's not. Refrigerated cargo vessel is a general cargo vessel who is loading fruits, bananas, and everything meats. That's why I'm very happy that I'm proudly to say maybe there's more content creator, but I am the one who content refrigerated cargo vessels journey that had 100,000 of followers in Philippines. That I am especially one. I'm thinking that that's why I am trying to tell everyone to educate them what's life in a refrigerated cargo vessel, which is turning now. I'm in container ship. All of my blogs. You ask me why I start. Yeah, because I want to tell them what's life in refrigerated cargo vessel. That's why I start vlogging. And Ivan is my advisor in this journey. I call him and ask him, "What can you tell me to give me some advice to start this journey?" Ivan is very kind to call me inside the cargo hold and tell me, "This is what you're trying to do. This is what you do. This is what you tell." That's why I have a big, huge respect in terms of vlogging. In terms of vlogging, because of Ivan. Yeah, Ivan is my advisor for this journey.
What was the first video you did, Sherwin, that got big numbers?
Oh yeah, I remember big numbers. They someone asked me how much is the salary in refrigerated cargo vessel. And they can't believe because if you remember Ivan, if you remember, they asked me how
Yeah.
much is your salary in refrigerated cargo vessel because my salary in refrigerated cargo vessel is a normal salary. But I have a big huge amount of money in terms of stevedoring or extra bonuses. I got $9,000 in one contract because of this, because of
Wow.
working inside of cargo hold. That's why they are trying to keep on their mind that there is a ship named refrigerated cargo vessel who give big amount of bonuses. That's why that's the big that's a videos I get big views, big
Nice.
amount of
I mean, I think I've seen a lot of content creators within seafaring who have got big numbers around the salary. There's a lot of inquiries, and people are just genuinely interested to figure out
yeah.
how much
Yeah.
people are earning. It's like one of those clickbaity kind of things that always
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
Um,
But some content creator they just clickbaiting. But on my side, I am telling the truth that the salary or the bonus, extra bonus on refrigerated cargo vessel is huge, a lot of money. That's why I can provide to my family and my daughter also.
Yeah. And I also think, Sherwin, I didn't know that you were on refrigerated cargo, but I think one of the things that would be really cool in the future, maybe something to give you some inspiration for your next voyage, is so many people, and not just in the Philippines, but worldwide, we will go to our local grocery and we will buy fruit, and we do not process for one single second how it got there. So
Yeah,
you
yes,
could
yes,
you could
yes.
you could create a whole series about how next time you're buying your kiwis, or next time you're buying your bananas, you should, just so you know, it took people like myself to actually take it from this country to this country, this many months to do it. I think that
Yeah.
would be really interesting content.
Yeah, I already had that. I already got million views also. The loading of bananas inside the ship and the discharging of the bananas in other countries. And they are asking a big ship loading of full of bananas, full of tuna. They are amazing. They are amazed. That's why I think my journey as content creator is a little bit different because my vlog before when people know me is all about refrigerated cargo vessel.
Yeah, sure. Ivan, we've had many discussions about your content creation journey. You know, you're one of the most established seafarer influencers in the world, actually, especially in the Philippines. Um, but I don't think I've ever asked you before. I'm interested. What for you was the first video you posted that got big numbers?
Well, I believe it was during my first vessel assignment wherein I really started creating contents not yet in line in the maritime industry. I used to like get into trends way back 2020. Like it was a peak of the pandemic and everyone is creating memes, creating POVs. I'm the kind of a young individual who would jump into that kind of trend just to show off. And way back then, I think it's really not meant for me because by that time my company told me that Ivan, you're in your second year, but you need to go on board first ahead of your batchmates because that's your program. So initially, my thought was, oh no, my dream of becoming a star was shattered. But I never thought that it would really start or spark something else, and that is being a content creator in line with the maritime industry. And the first video I think that for me shockingly went viral was when the first time I embarked my journey in Brazil. So way back then, I really have no idea that people are really curious about how our job as seafarer works. And by the time I posted my first task on board, which was to like clean the entire accommodation area because our cargo that time was it's kind of sandy and it's kind of dusty, so we need to prevent it from going inside the accommodation. So I just simply showed my normal routine as a deck cadet way back then. And when I wake up in the morning, I was so shocked. We were in Brazil. It garnered 1 million views. So it was a calling for me. I realized that people maybe just assume that we are just gaining too much money, but they don't realize how tough our work is. And that became a calling for me to share more story about my life, not just an individual, but also as a seafarer. And eventually, when I was stopped by TikTok Philippines to be part of their educational team, I immediately grabbed the opportunity and I started creating educational content with whatever one my followers want. I know it's really easy to provide educational content to everyone who wants knowledge about maritime, but I think the key factor which really made me grow is that I know what my audience want, I know what my audience ask, and I provide the answers based on what they're asking.
Yeah, I know that you have your series called the Marinos series,
Yeah.
which is really really cool. And quite often the videos that you create will be based upon a previous comment you received on a video from one of your fans, and then you'll
Yeah.
take that comment and then address it. Um, what do you think has been one of the most interesting facts that you've shared with your seafarer followers before on the Marinos series?
Well, interesting. I think it's not only interesting for them, but as someone who learned it in order for me to be able to provide that information to them, I think it's the topic concerning about why most ships' bottom is red. So when we navigate the oceans, not all ships, but majority of the ships have red bottom. So it's a question that was asked to me by my followers. I already have the idea that it's probably because of the copper coating, but I want to like maximize my idea to provide them more cohesive information. And by digging deeper to that information, I learned more about that topic and I was able to share it to them. And eventually, it is also one of my top viewed videos where I explain to them why most of the ships have red bottom.
And can you explain it to us?
Well, mostly first, of course, it's because of the copper mixed with red paint in order for us to prevent what we call the biofouling, which is the accumulation of marine organisms which could stick into the ship's hull and making the performance of the ship sluggish. And also, one of them, I think this is one of my discovery that it is red because It also plays a vital role in contrasting the blue ocean and the red bottom in terms of, emergency situations so that helicopters and rescuers can eventually see the vessel ahead of time with their red bottom.
Hmm, interesting. I had no idea about that actually. I've always seen the red bottoms on the ships, but I've never ever thought twice about why all the bottoms of ships are typically red. That's a really cool fact. Um, Sherwin, you touched on earlier on when to finish Ivan's point, the importance of mental health. Um, I think that in recent times there's been a huge spotlight on mental health awareness within maritime. I think COVID probably brought an even bigger spotlight to that, and now more than ever, people are finally talking about the importance of mental health awareness with seafarers. When you're doing your content, I think I actually saw a video once that you did around mental health, and we've obviously done some sponsorship posts together around some charities here in the UK. But I'm interested to hear from your thoughts when you've posted videos, Sherwin, around mental health awareness for seafarers. What has been the response from your audience?
Oh, they are because they saw me vlogging for like I always smile, I always joyful voice, like louder voice. They know me to the good content with smile, always joyful content. And it's new for them that I content about mental health. And as you can remember, my voice is clear. Did my did you hear me right?
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
they
yeah.
are shocked. They are shocked because I content my lives that I am I am very very sad because of what I had in on board. I am the first Filipino and I only Filipino on board. They all is Italian. I only one Filipino on bridge. And my mental health before these past years are very very crucial because a lot of things happen on board. So they are shocked that a joyful Sherwin C. Makata is now make a content like telling them that your mental health is important. They are shocked. They are shocked. They are definitely shocked.
What do you think, from the maritime industry perspective, the shipping companies and the industry could do as a whole to support the mental health of seafarers?
Oh, that was a good question. This is the time, this is the time that all company that open their mind about the mental health. It becomes very important in each seafarer, each crew on board because maybe they not every company have the direct message, the direct report because there is a lot of I'm not saying the nationality, but there's a lot of different nationalities, races with all other seafarers like us, Filipino or others. If you are not like co-nationalities, they have some racism. So I think the all company must have one number aside from DPA that direct contact for every each seafarer that if there's a problem on board because of those officers or officials who are not treating them right, they have um, um one contact that the seafarer can direct and tell them what's happening on board. Very big impact. All the not I'm not telling that the nationalities co-nationalities. I'm telling this the some officers who is racist and becomes some nationalities. But the most important is they have one contact number, yes,
So
to
you're
to
saying,
Well,
direct.
yeah, please.
just to share also, especially we were talking about mental health now, for my perspective, Carl, I'm already using my platform. You know very well that I am affiliated with one of the initiatives you're working with in concerning mental health. So I am also using my platform to raise awareness about available resources and initiatives that can support mental health, such as counseling services, the peer-to-peer support group that we all know, of course, and apps designed to promote well-being. And it's essential to remind seafarers as well that they're not alone, and even when they're far from home, there would always be that method or mode where they can reach people. And as for the initiatives you told earlier, that what should I think the government or the authorities should focus on, I think I would be honest that I think more could be done actually to integrate mental health support into the
Yeah.
maritime industry, especially maritime trainings and daily routines on board. I believe that it is something that right now exists, but isn't really compacted or holistic enough. For example, the mandatory mental health training for both crew members and officers, it's really very important. And also improving our access to mental health professionals through, for example, online medical frequent checkups or check-ins. We should also, I think it's a very good options for seafarers to have that. And I think some shipping companies also already have that, but not everyone have access to it. And of course, it's very important for us to also create a culture where mental health is treated as with the same importance of physical health, because it is very crucial to ensure that our seafarers on board feel supported and valued throughout their careers, because we seafarers really is the backbone of the industry, and without us functioning well, I think it is a really a big problem in the maritime industry, and I think it's something that the authority should focus on.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, one of the things we need to really think of, I know we keep referring back to some of the great work the charities do, but the shipping industry is $1 trillion business. It's worth trillions of dollars. And is it really appropriate that $1 trillion business relies so heavily on charity to be the reason as to why we are getting mental health support? I think there should be more investment internally within the shipping companies because they have the money to do it. They should
Yeah.
invest in being able to create the necessary resources to support seafarers with their mental health. And you're totally right. Mental health should be treated the exact same way physical health is. And I just think sometimes, when somebody breaks a leg, it's so obvious, but when somebody's suffering mentally, it sometimes isn't as obvious. We need to, as an industry, come together and be able to spot the signs and listen. That's the other thing. We need to be able to learn to listen. Really important points. Guys, I want to just ask one last question to close things up. A lot of people in the industry, they talk about this thing, and I know we've touched on this before. We've spoken about it at Crew Connect Global, but I want to talk about it again because I think it's a really important subject. A lot of people in the industry, they talk about recruitment, retention, and how we're struggling to find new talent for seafaring, new talent for the maritime industry. And in countries in Europe, maybe this is correct. But one of the things I found is that the Philippines is the biggest supplier to seafaring in the world. And there are every year around 40,000 seafarers, 40,000 cadets that graduate, and only 5 to 10,000 get jobs on board. That means there's a surplus of cadets who are waiting for an opportunity. So sometimes I come on this podcast and I speak to corporate people in maritime and I say, how can we make the maritime industry more appealing? And they come up with these great responses. But as two people who have come from the Philippines, come through the cadet program and managed to successfully get jobs, I'm not going to ask you how we can make this industry more appealing because that would be a criticism and offensive to the 30,000 cadets that aren't able to get a job. They find this appealing already, they just don't have the opportunity. So what I'm going to ask you guys, and I'm going to ask Sherwin first, is what can cadets do firstly to become the strongest possible profile to get the ability to get a job on board, given how competitive it is within the Philippines. So if I'm a cadet, how can I make sure that I am the one who is lucky enough to get a job on board? And then once you answer that, I'd then like you to think about what can the shipping companies do to give more opportunities to our Filipino cadets specifically. Sherwin?
Carl, I believe that not everyone's good at school is good at sea. And not everyone good that's in academically are good in actual. Because I myself, I putting myself in not very so good in academic. But I know for myself that if you put me in a job where you need manpower or you need some what we call it discarte, or in English we call it actual work, I know for myself that I exist and you can saw me even I am not good academically. That's what I am trying to say to every company out there, if there is listening right now. Please, for God's sake, give some opportunity to those cadets on schools who are not good academically, because everyone's looking for a cadet who is good in subject, good in academically. But how about the cadets not good in academically but good in actual? And that's me. I'm not good academically, but I know for myself that I'm good in actual. That's what, please give some opportunity. Not I'm not trying to say that all academically good is not good, it's actual. I'm not trying to say that. I'm trying to say now that please give opportunity to everyone in school. Please. That's all.
Ivan?
Well, last Crew Connect 2023, I was also invited as one of the speakers, and I was also asked the same questions on how what message would I be able to give to large people owning companies. The message that I told to them was to open their doors for cadets, same as what Sherwin said. I do believe that the surplus of graduates in the Philippines, I think they are already equipped with the skills. They are already with complete documents. But I think it's within the system that needs to be changed, because there is a meme here. It's sometimes a meme, but also a sad reality for seafarers when they tend to apply to shipping companies, walk in right in the doorstep. The guard will tell them, "Do you have a experience? Do you have a previous sea time?" And when they answer no, eventually they will not be given a chance to proceed to the next step of the application. They are not given the chance to prove themselves. As I will not invalidate what Sherwin said, because I do really understand that when it comes to the maritime industry, being academically good is somewhat a good advantage for everyone. But it doesn't mean that if you're not academically good, you'll not be able to go on board. Because a lot of captains, a lot of successful seafarers are not really that good in academics, but it is something that they are good on the actual work, which is I really agree on Sherwin. But I would like also as well to emphasize that in this current generation, for the cadets who are currently studying right now, it's a sad fact that it is somehow what's happening is it is becoming as survival of the fittest right now, that you need to really prove yourself right now while you are still studying in order for you to land a company. Because if you are not going to land a company while you are studying, you will be definitely having a hard time getting a company. And I think that is one thing that the maritime industry should focus on opening more doors for seafarers, because I don't really see nothing wrong about the cadets graduating without the companies. Actually, if you give them a chance, I think they will be able to prove themselves. I think it's just the opportunity is there, but it isn't accessible for everyone. Then I would like also to share this. When I took my exam at Cebu City, I tried to travel using a domestic ship, and I was able to have an interaction with a cadet there working on a domestic ship. And I realized that what they are doing in a domestic ship is, I think, when you put them on the international vessel, they can do much more better. And I think
Wow.
it is something that the maritime industry should contemplate on and realize as well that the potential is there, but they should really give the opportunities accessible to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I
So
will
well
say.
said. Yeah, I've never thought of it like that actually. You're totally right. is that actually when you look at the fine lines and the fine print, there really isn't much difference between those that are doing domestic shipping to international shipping. Of course, there are differences, but the resilience, the charisma, the characteristics that are necessary to be able to deliver that job are so similar. The thing that is lacking is the opportunity. Do you
Yeah.
think that we should make it mandatory as an industry that every single cadet that invests a single peso into their studies should be at very least given the ability to do 1 year mandatory sea time?
Hmm. Me?
Please.
Oh, for me, I remember when we are in Crew Connect. No, it's not in Crew Connect. It's in a forum where OFWs Filipinos, and I remember that they said they want that 6 months on board and 6 months at sea as cadet, and the following 6 months is in a room like in school. In school where it's like there's some actual and computer with their where they don't need to spend another 6 months at sea because it's very difficult for a seafarer to spend 12 months at sea. They must have some opportunities, maybe 6 months on board as a cadet and 6 months at school, or like a simulator, or simulator of in deck, and in engine is like an engine room, copycat in room. What I mean. 6 months on board and 6 months school. It's for me.
Yeah.
That's my point of view.
That's a really good point, actually. I think actually 12 months is very intense and it's also unpaid most of the time as well. So
Yes.
12 months away from your family and not being paid for it, that does seem a little bit unfair, actually. What's your thoughts, Ivan? Do you think that we should make 12 months at sea mandatory for every single cadet that invests into their education?
Well, if you ask me, to be honest, I think definitely yes, provided that they are compensated. Because I think it is also one problem that I see most of graduate cadets who doesn't have a company or in, they already spent penny in studying a huge amount of money in studying in a maritime institution, and they still need to pay a huge amount of money to some shipping industry just to get that experience in order for them to land a shipping company that works internationally. And I think it's a bit heavy for seafarers who just dreams to become a international cadet. I think it's okay for them to be able to have a mandatory 12 months in order for them to easily finish their degree and eventually get their BS degree for them to take the OIC examination. But I think the compensation should also be enough for them to like finish the 12 months contract. And if it is not that feasible, I think 6 months will do in 6 months, as what Sherwin said. I think it's also a good option, but I do believe that regardless of the both things I have mentioned, I think compensation should always comes first.
Yeah, I totally agree. 12 months unpaid is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
That's why I can't finish my cadetship, Carl. My contract is 12 months, and the only 6 months on board, they promote me as ordinary seaman. And I grab it because my salary when I was cadet is $250. And the salary as ordinary seaman is $1,050. $800 the difference. That's why I can't I can't pursue the cadetship program as 12 months. Only 6 months, and I cannot finish the cadetship because
And
Yeah.
12 months.
also, just to add up, if we still have time, Carl, it really bothers me how how maritime students need to pay a huge amount of money
Yeah.
to work on a ship. They are working. Supposed to be their work should be paid and not that they are going to pay to work. So it's a basic it's a basic understanding, and I don't really get what's happening. Why is it happening? That's supposed to be those cadets, graduates, should be working in order to earn, in order to finish their degree. But it seems like it's adding up more burden to them.
It's a great point.
Last one more thing, Carl. I just want to add up. If maybe if it's recorded. You know, there's a lot of cadets out there who recognize what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of cadet working at the companies paid $1 per day. $1 per day. Yes. They called, sometimes they don't have, they call the utility cadets. They are a graduate of Maritime Course and they are working in a company for $1 per day, Carl, or $2, they said, maybe before. And that was the important thing now. The shipping companies open their eyes in Philippines. The authorities can open their eyes that all cadets out there working as utility cadets must give good compensation, what Ivan said. They are not working at ship, Carl. They are working at company just to get on board if they finish the 1 year or 1.5 year or 2 years working as utility cadets. I know if someone is listening or watching me right now, I know what you are trying to tell to your bosses. Please, authorities in Philippines, give some good compensation for our utility cadets out there. Please.
I think that's a really, really important point. And thank you so much for raising awareness around this. I'll be making sure that as many people within the shipping industry see this content because I think that's so important. I had absolutely no idea that some utility cadets were getting paid $1, $2 a day. That's almost insulting. That's all.
Yes.
That's borderline insulting. In fact, I wouldn't even argue borderline. That is insulting. To pay someone so little for their time is just a disgrace. Um, I guess the last thing that I really want to do, because this is the first podcast of Seafarer Social for 2025, and I think sometimes, when we start a new year, it's a great way to look at things from a fresh perspective. Um, so if you guys were put in front of a room of all of the most important decision makers within the shipping industry, and you could change just one thing each for 2025, what would that thing be? Sherwin, what you first?
That was a difficult answer, but maybe Ivan first. Ivan first.
Okay.
So you pass it to me. Well, as someone who were able to gain high visibility of young people and young seafarers as well as senior seafarers supporting me. I think if I will be given that chance, I only have one single wish for them, and that is to give, as what I said, give opportunity to each and every cadets out there to go on board and for them to change their lives. That's a simple wish. And I know it's really quite far from far from coming to reality, knowing the status right now, as what we have talked about earlier. But if there is a way that they could change that system and like give an opportunity to every graduate to not experience hardships first before going or landing an international voyage. I think that wish would always be my wish for every cadets out there and for those people aspiring to become a seafarers who right now still struggles to find company and still really works hard to land a company because I really know a lot of my friends out there who suffered a lot, who stayed a lot in the Philippines, wasting too much money, wasting too much time, and even wanting to give up because the scarcity of resources and opportunity isn't there. But I was as what I always advocate to them, even though that opportunity isn't really accessible for everyone, as long as you have the fire and as long as that opportunity is still there, giving up should not be an option.
Very well said, Ivan. And yourself, Sherwin?
Oh, for me, I have a wish, one wish, for all for the company. I hope they treat everyone's crew the same, even it is ordinary seaman or a captain, because each everyone wants line up and to want money to feed for their families. So please treat every each crew of your crews same, equally, not because he is ordinary seaman or he is a captain. Please give them equal opportunity when they want to go back on board. That's my wish.
Very well said. To both of you, thank you so much for giving me an hour of your time. It's been an absolute honor to speak to you both. Maybe if you could just let our audience know your handles on social media if they want to follow you, show and what's your handles?
Hi everyone, it's me Sherwin Chantengco, your seaman. Hi everyone, it's me Sherwin Chantengco, your seaman na Makata, and thank you everyone who support me, Ivan and Carl in this podcast.
Do I still have to have my intro? Well, ladies and gentlemen, to the international audiences, I'm Carl, of course. If you're new to me, I am Ivan Guzman. I am a content creator in the Philippines, mainly focused on maritime education and travel content creation. With over 3 million followers, I am at Ivan Godsman with blue check on Facebook and with the 2.4 million followers on TikTok. And I hope you support us.
And can
Yes.
we consider this podcast a series of the Marinos? Your Marinos.
Your seaman na Makata.
Thanks, guys. Have a great year. I'll see you soon.
Thank you,
See you
Carl.
soon, Carl. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Carl.
you.